Oh, missed it.
Welcome everyone to today's Community Standing Committee. I'm just acknowledging the committee members of Councillor McIndoe, Councillor Sept and Councillor Wimbledon, and the observers of Councillor Nixon and Councillor Rolfe as well. So we've all is present except for Councillor Wimbledon has had previous leave of absence approved, so we'll put in an apology for Councillor Godwin-Smith, please. And can I please have a mover? Thank you. No, that's right. Thank you, Councillor Sept. And a seconder, please. Councillor Wimbledon, thank you very much. So, all in favour, thank you. Okay. So, moving on, is there any future leaves of absences that need to be recorded for this committee? No, none to record. Okay, so the confirmation, please, for this is the General Council agenda. The confirmation, please, for the previous minutes of the 7th of August. Can I please have a mover for those? Thank you. Councillor Sept, and seconder, thank you, Councillor McIndoe. Can everyone please run your eye over those minutes and just make sure that they're a true and accurate reflection of that meeting? If there's no issues, can I please have a show of hands that are all in favour? All in favour? Thank you very much. Any business arising from those minutes? Yes, we just did that. Oh, sorry. Can I please have a show of hands for a mover for the confirmation of those minutes? Councillor Wimbledon and Councillor Sept. And all in favour of this. Any business arising from those minutes? No? Okay then, we'll move on to outstanding meeting actions. Could everyone please cast their eye to the outstanding meeting actions? As you can see, there's only a couple on that report, and both of those are complete. Any questions associated with those two actions or any other actions? No. Item 7, review of the upcoming agenda items. Could you please cast your eyes to that report? Thank you. Are there any questions regarding that report of the upcoming agenda items? No? Okay, moving on then, thank you. Mr. Fletcher, any petitions?
No petitions tabled, Madam Chair, but I would like to acknowledge when we received a submission from Michaela Bell at the last community's standing committee, and we'll be following that response. Will be going out to her this afternoon. Okay,
lovely, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 9, material personal interest, conflicts of interest, personal gifts and benefits. Is there anything to declare? No, thank you very much. Moving on to the community's, the body of the Community Standing Committee. So we've got a number of minutes and reports to go through. The first one is the Central Highlands Arts, Culture and Advisory Committee terms of reference. If I could please invite Suzanne and Karen to present that report, and I'll get Daniel to introduce that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillors, report before you is a decision report to endorse the revised CHACAC, or Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee terms of reference. So you'll note at the attachment there the updated terms of reference, and this is just as part of the course to continue making sure that we're on top of the governance of the CHACAC organisation. So I'll hand it over to Suzanne and Karen who will detail the terms of reference and any changes that are being proposed.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Through the chair, this report today presents, whoops, the wrong one, beg your pardon, again. Okay, this report today presents the Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee, that's known as the CHACAC, revised terms of reference. Those terms of reference have been realigned with Arts Queensland, who make adjustments each year. Arts Queensland are the funding body for the Regional Arts Development Fund, as well as to reflect some operational changes, such as the frequency of the CHACAC meeting. So this report presents the new terms of reference for Council's consideration for endorsement. I'll just pass you over to Karen Newman, the Arts and Cultural Officer, to provide some additional information.
Thanks, Suzanne. Through the chair, these updated terms of reference for the Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee will replace the previous terms of reference that were adopted last November. Once endorsed, the advertising can proceed regarding expressions of interest for new membership in the advisory committee. And this is done every 2 years to refresh the membership. I'm happy to take any further questions.
So it's really just a re-endorsing these, and there's not a significant change with it?
There's not a significant change in there. There's just the frequency of meetings mainly, and a couple of different additions to align with the Arts Queensland changes.
Any questions? Councillor Wright?
May I ask Karen and Suzanne, with this, there's been the hospital museum in Springshore has been a huge success in heritage list and what have you. And there are other historical places in the region. How does this advisory committee, do you have any input into who goes for heritage listing? How do they cope with it or manage it, that sort of thing?
In the structure, so it's looked at each of the former regions to try and get a representation from right across the region. So that, but it's open to a membership of up to 13. There's council representation on the committee. There's this, museum and galleries are identified. So within the terms of reference, you'll notice there's criteria that we do try and target. And sometimes people will be invited to come into the committee if there seem to be gaps in them. But it's overall, the committee is for arts, culture and heritage right across the region.
Okay. Any further questions? Councillor.
I was just looking.
Okay, there's a recommendation there before us that the Central Highlands Regional Council endorse the members Central Highlands Arts and Culture Advisory Committee terms of reference. Can I please have somebody, thank you, Councillor Brunco moving, and secondly, Councillor Martin. All in favour? Thank you very much. So moving on to, there's an update on the Future Cities Smart Communities. Sorry, thank you very much for that report. Moving on, there's an update on the Future Cities Smart Communities Summit. As we don't have Kirsten here, we're going to be presenting that.
I will, Madam Chair, thank you. Through you, this report, councillors, is just to provide an update. As you can see from the report, Councillors Bell, Daniels and Godwin Smith attended the summit along with our Manager of Planning and Environment, so I would encourage Unfortunately, Councillor James is the only one here. That was the councillors that attended to provide the update. You can obviously read the report. It has the attached program there. So I do understand it was the best conference that some people have attended related to the smart cities agenda, or just generally the best conference in terms of its engagement. So that was the feedback I received from our manager of planning and environment. If Councillor James wants to provide her experience of the summit.
Yeah, look, it was an excellent conference. I was just thinking that there are some detail which isn't in this report, and I was thinking when we go through our smart cities strategy, maybe that's an opportunity to add a bit of element from what we learned to that conference and provide more detail.
So as an extension to that, there is planning in place for late October to do the next phases of that smart communities and digital strategy, which was pre-prepared as a draft prior to the submission for the smart communities funding application. So it's still sitting dormant in draft at this stage, and until we hear back from the federal government around that funding, which the anticipated timeframe is by the end of this month. Hence why we've scheduled in some time in late October to start building the draft strategy.
Through the chair, if I can just have some comments. When we did that workshop at Mackinac Park, yes, I really was not really switched on to what smart cities was all about. And I think since then, when we were in Canberra, there was a speaker to smart cities there, and I kind of got it. I think it would be a huge benefit to councillors who haven't already attended a conference around smart cities. I think it would be a huge benefit for them to actually go and understand, and maybe I was the only one that didn't fully understand, I'm not sure, but it's not just about technology. It's so much more than that, and I think we do have to start thinking about smart cities and how we operate in the future. And the word city, it's everything. It's nothing to do with a city, really. And I think that's what we've got to kind of understand. So yes, I think it would be a huge benefit for all councillors to actually get an opportunity to attend a conference about this.
The AJQ conference, I believe it's only every second year, and Councillor Rolfe, you attended back in 2016, didn't you? And obviously it's an evolving space, so what Councillor Rolfe potentially saw and what we were presented would be significantly changing.
Yeah, so comment if I may.
Yeah.
So from the one that I went to in Brisbane was when we first came on council, and to me that one was very much about cities. There was very little regional focus or speakers. They didn't even when we asked questions about, you know, how does this fit a regional regional city. We said regional city, and I was told by one fellow that you know, the regions didn't even, they weren't on the radar at all. So I felt a little bit unsettled about that, and since and going to the ALGA transport conferences as well, the future city stuff is high on the list at those conferences. So that's why we've said from regional areas we've really got to go to those, otherwise we're going to get left behind. So yeah, I agree with you, Councillor Cypher, that, you know, everybody should go because they've got to represent regional councils.
Yeah, it's a fair comment.
If I can add through you, Madam Chair, I tabled a report earlier this year for the General Council identifying 3 particular conferences that were of value in the smart city space, and that was one that was in Melbourne that Councillor Daniels and I attended. The second one was the ALGA conference we're talking about now, and the third one was the Smart Cities Council Week, which is start the 29th of October, 29th to the 31st of October. That's in Sydney. So happy to bring another report forward if there is some interest from the councils to attend that third conference.
I sort of think you can get conferenced out. I'm not a great pusher for you know, council's running off every conference under the sun, I'm actually believing that. But I do just think this is a new space,
Yes.
and that we all really do need to understand what the possibilities are in that space.
Sure, and it's something that, rather than, you know, being something that sits on site, it should be business as usual.
Yeah.
Implementing smart strategies in what we do. Okay, well, thank you, Daniel. That would be great if you could put forward details of that conference, and councillors can decide if they wish to attend then.
Just through the chair, like, it's not far and there is interest in it, you know, and we probably haven't addressed it. You know, do we need to pull that forward rather than wait for a report? Because we're only talking a month or 6 weeks after.
To the next general meeting?
Yeah, it can be brought forward for the next general council meeting in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, rather than communities. Thanks for that.
Yeah, so my apologies, it will be brought to full council for all councillors to determine which councils attend.
Okay, lovely. There's no recommendation around that report.
No, sorry, Madam Chair, through you, there's been an administrative error. We do have it up on the screen, so that the actual hard copy report is missing the exec summary and recommendations and resolutions to receive the report.
Great, thank you. Can I please have a mover, Councillor McIndoe, and a second, Councillor Seifert. Show of hands, please. Thank you very much. You're in favour. You were in favour, weren't you?
Of course I did.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to 10.3. So we've got the Community Planning Advisory Group minutes from the 30th of July. So I will invite Daniel to invite down Bernadine and Suzanne to present that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, councillors, this report, again, decision report to receive the meeting notes or minutes of the Community Planning Advisory Group meeting, which was held on the 30th of July. All the details are there. There's the particular 10 specific recommendations that have been pulled out of that meeting for your attention. So I'll hand it over to Suzanne and Bernadine to detail those for you.
Thank you, Daniel. So through the chair, this report does present those meeting notes from the July Community Planning Advisory Group, and I'll actually pass you to Bernadine to give you the details on those.
Thanks, Suzanne. Through the chair, this report presents the Community Planning Advisory Group meeting notes from the meeting held on Monday, 3rd of July, to be received by council and noting the 10 actions from within the meeting. I'll hand it back now to the chair. Well, I didn't know whether you wanted to go through each 10 actions or if I just hand you back to the chair.
Okay. I guess if everyone could please cast their eye to the recommendations. Is there any questions that people have regarding those recommendations?
So the recommendation is to endorse these 10 points, is that right?
To receive those notes.
To receive them, right, yes, to receive, it's fine.
Through you, Madam Chair, and the minutes attached to that meeting. So as a new template for the reports indicates that we're receiving these and any important actions that come out from that meeting, we're hoping to highlight through that recommendation process so that nothing's missed.
Any questions? Okay. May I please have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Brendan. A second, thank you. May I have a second, please? Sorry. Councillor Seifert, thank you. And a show of hands, please. You accept that report. Thank you very much. In favour? Okay. So moving on to.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Bernadine. This is unbelievable. So 10.4, we've got the community consultation meeting at Blackwater. And then 10.5 is community consultation in comment, community consultation meeting at draft in 10.6. So we'll work through those right now. Daniel, could you introduce that report then? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you. So, councillors, as you can see, we've got the 3 community consultation meeting minutes, Blackwater, comment and Bluff, and I'm happy to present the reports as read, and if there's any particular questions that you might have about the minutes or any follow-up comments or actions that have come out of any of those meetings, happy to hopefully answer them for you now or take them away before council receives these.
Chair, may I ask a question?
Please go for it, Councillor.
Just when you're talking about these meetings that were held on the 29th in May 2018, and then there's CRMs that listed there, I question why it's taken so long for this to actually come to a standing committee meeting, because it's always said that you'll get a reply within 10 days and everybody will be notified, et cetera, within a period of time. And here we are, I can't even count how many months later. Why are we so?
Would those CRMs already been in action?
Well, I have a similar comment too, that I think the minute should actually be reflecting the completion of those CRMs, where the most of them just sort of reflecting that they've been raised. So yeah, similar to what Councillor Rolfe was mentioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you. So that is something we can look at from an administrative process point of view, but the actions against any of those CRMs are certainly not being limited by the report today being presented to the community standing committee. So, and we'll take that information and make sure that we present another report back the next community standing committee, finalising all of these CRMs that have come through, so that the reflection in the report will show at least where the actual CRM is up to, if it's not completed.
Okay. Are you happy with that, Councillor Rob?
Well, yeah, through the chair, I'll take on board, as Johnny, that is now within my department, Councillor, and I agree with you. The time delay in regards to reporting this to council is not acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, so is there any specific questions regarding each of the minutes for Blackwater, comment and Bluff? No? Okay. We'll move each of these minutes separately. So can I please have a mover for the Blackwater minutes? Thank you. Councillor Wimbledon, and a seconder, thank you. Councillor McIndoe, all in favour? I thank you. And then moving on to, can I please have is there any specific questions regarding comment, community consultation? Otherwise, can I please call for a mover? Thank you. Councillor Cypher and seconder. Councillor seconder. All in favour? Thank you. Thank you. And moving on to the Bluff community consultation meeting. Any specific questions before we endorse those? No?
So just, I will, because
Yeah.
about the street light on the corner of Main Street. So the Main Street, is Main Street the highway?
Yeah, Main Street's the street.
Comes left off the highway.
No, it runs parallel to Main Street.
I was just wondering whether it's actually a GMR.
Yeah, it's like a slip road that doesn't have a separation.
Oh, just one question with the numbering of the, with Ergon and Telstra not recognising the new numbering system. How does that, why don't they recognise the numbering?
Through Madam Chair, I don't have the answer for that at this stage, Councillor, but I'll have to get the details and understand that a little more.
Number 8 on page 54. It's in the CRM system too, sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. And as mentioned before, these will be represented with further details around the progression of those CRMs. Is there any further questions on the graph? No, may I please have a mover? Thank you for that resolution. Councillor Brindleton and Councillor Slifer for seconded, thank you. Can I please have a show of hands? Thank you for all in favour. Wonderful, thank you very much. Great, moving on to departmental updates, thank you. Daniel, I'll get you to, as the authorising officer, I'll get you to introduce the departmental updates, thank you.
Madam Chair, through you, councillors, monthly departmental update from communities where we have the 8 particular operational updates we want to give you with, provide you with, sorry. So the pilot order of the schools and community facilities, Councillor McIndoe, in connection with the game plan, has been working on this one, and the CHRC provided a motion to the LGAQ conference, which was obviously supported, and it seems to be something that the Education Department are now really looking to ramp up, and our Manager of Community Recreation Facilities, Jared, is going to be coordinating that from our end to make sure that we get the best outcome. So what that includes is doing an audit of our area at this stage, and then finally trying to get to a stage where we can understand the need, where they cross over between educational facilities and other sporting organisations, so we can not have facilities lying dormant or underutilised while we're trying to build up other facilities. Happy to take any questions on that.
Yeah, just the question I have. So is the mandate that for the schools that they should be working with us, or is it just on a voluntary basis that they would provide this information?
At this stage, the audit will flesh out what that looks like. So I'm not sure that they've been compelled to work with us, but as I understand, Education Queensland is supportive of this process. So once we get that audit, I'm sure we'll be able to identify if there's any information missing. But I think Education Queensland are actually looking to roll this out more statewide as opposed to just here as well. So we're certainly looking for that cooperation with all of the education facilities.
Okay, good, thank you.
Move on to number 3. Is worth noting that this report was obviously prepared the inclusion of number 3 for the submission of the approved inspection program. So that information is to be effectively ignored. We've obviously council decided that the approved inspection program was not to go ahead. Number 4, the pest management and weed spraying. So on the 10th of August, the Rangers team continued spraying at the Willows area there. Rangers will continue to do that, and we'll be able to provide some updates along the next couple of months to at least give council an indication of how successful or otherwise that spraying has gone. Barking dogs, we've received a number of barking dog complaints over the last couple of months, and that number is increasing. So we've actually been able to refine the process in which and better articulate that in a fact sheet to the community, so that they can better understand what they need to do to get an outcome, because there has been some confusion around what it is you're required to do to assist the Rangers team and to gather important information to ultimately prevent barking dogs from causing a nuisance. We've had a good outcome despite having a lot of barking dog issues this stage.
On that note, and I guess with any fact sheet, I guess, have you got a communication plan around getting that information out?
Not necessarily a communication plan, but I'm happy to throw over to Andrew while she's here. I know that we have all of our fact sheets up on the website in certain targeted areas, but is there anything you can add to that, Andrew?
No, through you, Chair. If a communications plan is usually only drawn up if it's going to be a series of things to bring something up to the public. So if it's like the latest one would be the cat trapping thing, so there's a new fact sheet, but that's going out with ads and media releases and things around a new service. So if it's decided if someone decides that it's going to be a part of a bigger campaign, then we'll do a communications plan on that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it all ends up a little bit ad hoc, a bit here and a bit there, without any real context.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, when you write a new fact sheet, how does anyone actually know that it exists? Okay, thank you.
Well, it's usually found on the website when you go, if someone's looking up, oh, what do I do with a barking dog, they'll go to the website and find it and they'll use it, or if somebody rings up range services, they'll use it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I think importantly, this was not necessarily a new fact sheet either, it was just a refined one so that it was better able to understand what steps you need to take as a community member.
Yeah.
I'll move on to number 8, still sticking with the ranges. So historically, the office at Barilla Street, where the ranges are located, has effectively been locked. The door's been locked, and we haven't used that front door to as it should be used. So earlier last month, the door's now, while it's still locked, there's a doorbell, and there's going to be a serviced approach, and that's just really it's really encouraging our customer service focus, not only from the ranges perspective, but more broadly for the organisation. The ranges will work with that in their new business activities every day. So if community members are able to, or if they do happen to pick up dogs, cats, they can bring them to the ranger's office, and that often solves a lot of problems for community members who are picking up stray animals. But equally, if any community member wants to access the Barilla office and talk to the rangers for anything, the indication now is that office is a little bit more open. Moving on to number 10, so weed spraying. So again, while the rangers were doing some other weed spraying, they've also continued the Gold River spraying. It's obviously, we're approaching November again, where we're hoping to reinvigorate the Gold November program. So that's in preparation for that. Number 11, drovers in the region. So we've got currently three cattle mobs, one in Capella, heading north towards Isaac region. We have another one at 5 Mile, heading towards 5 Mile at the moment, and they're the ones that we have had concerns about in terms of underweight stock and calves being left. So they've done their due diligence and they've received how they've got vet checks on them, and making sure that they're following up on those in the appropriate way with their obligations to.
They're on the move this morning.
Sorry?
They're on the move this morning.
They are heading to 5 Mile.
Oh, they're young.
Then we have another one coming from, well, it's now in our region, coming from Banana. So that's in the Bohemia region at the moment. They arrived late last week. So we have 3 mobs currently in Central Highlands Regional Council area. They arrived, I think, late Friday last week.
We didn't see them there, did we?
No. Ninja cattle.
Driving too fast, obviously.
I have to confirm exactly where they are, but
They've come from India.
come from Banana.
Oh,
As well, the waste management local law, so waste obviously a topical issue, and council adopted the new waste management local law on the 7th of August, so our obligation is there to write to the minister and to publicly notify our website to be complete. So as far as that goes, the local law is now activated. The full price costing model for waste was also presented to council previously, 2 weeks ago, and importantly it shows that we're effectively the financial area for waste services is on track, and is, while we can always do better and provide better services and more efficient costs, we're currently in a comfortable position, and the rates are appropriate for what we're charging and the service that our community is receiving. Curbside and bulk bin collection contract. So our contract is actually expires in October 2019. So the preparatory work for that has been ongoing for a while now, and we've been in conversations with Isaac Regional Council. We're partnering to get the economy of scale of a bigger contract. So it's not unusual, but there are some peculiarities around that, how that will work, and one of them is because we are partnering with another local government, we do require an ACCC application, so that's underway, and that takes approximately 6 months. to ensure that we're meeting our obligations there. So you can see the timeline, and we're on track with the timeline at this stage, but we'll be obviously providing us updates essentially every month to make sure that council is kept abreast of where we are with our curbside collection contracts. Earlier this morning in the Finance and Infrastructure Committee, we were discussing the waste levy preparedness implementation team. So that team's been pulled together from internal staff, and they have a very specific action list to ensure that our organisation is not left behind when the waste levy is activated on the 4th of March next year. So they will be meeting frequently to make sure and again being able to provide updates, not necessarily through a community standing committee, but it'll be coming to the full council so that again everybody's comfortable with our ability to access the funding that the state's providing for the waste levy, and that we're compliant with all of our facilities. There was the level of confusion around the mulched green waste and who has access to it. The confirmation is that all of our residents have access to that mulched green waste, so I just wanted to bring that forward. Where you can, please encourage yourself or your neighbours to come along and take some of our green waste away, and obviously it's only going to go towards the beautification of our region, so we're certainly encouraging there. There's a couple more waste operational updates there. Happy to take any questions on those. I'll move on to the...
If I can just make a comment on that media release that went out. Having put ratepayers, like it should have been residents. Yeah. And I think we really need to be careful, and there was other messages that were incorrect in that as well. But I think we really need to be careful of how our message is going out, because the fact that it was ratepayers that could go there, people commented to me on that. So, yeah, I just think we need to be extremely careful how we're putting our messages out there, because that particular one was ferocious.
Noted, Councillor Slifer, thank you. We'll make an amendment to the media release that went out, so we're more clearly encouraging all of our residents, not just ratepayers, to be involved in that. So some Arts in August program kicks off through October. You can see the list there of everything that's happening, quite well spread across the region. Fortunately, we have our manager in the gallery if we have any specific questions around that.
How was the attendance, I guess, fine?
I mean, the list is, we've incorporated things like obviously the dingo races and gem fest, which I'm not sure if we've included those as part of our program in past years, but for the specific arts or the arts focused activities, what was the attendance like?
The attendance has been good overall, but we are making sure that with the events that are still ongoing, that we're marketing those well, particularly with the astronomical events that are still ongoing across the region. Mm-hmm. So in the next departmental update, we'll provide some statistics on attendance.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
We'll move on to 26, so that's Thursday, which is the 13th of September, the Are You OK Day. So Council's Safety, Wellness and Activation team partnering with the library as well, set up some pop-up activities there in the community garden area, followed by a barbecue, again with the renewed focus, I should say, on well-being. That's certainly something that the organisation is embracing a lot, and there'll be some activities on that day and also post that day to make sure that all of our particular employee assistance programs are being activated as best they can internally. I'll probably pull up there unless any councillors have any specific questions. I do want to acknowledge that the number 38 operational update does title Senate inquiry, but it's more of the communications update as opposed to the Senate inquiry. And there's an error on my behalf, which I'll acknowledge, that there will be a report coming to council to summarise the Senate inquiry that occurred last 2 weeks ago. So, Emily.
I'll just make special mention to the regional summit. I thought it was really, it's at point 36. For those that attended, it was well planned, and I'm sure everyone that
was present got a lot out of it, because it was a really great opportunity to network and hear about the different projects and different community reference groups as well. So well done to the team that pulled that all together. If you could pass that back to your community development team. Thank you, Suzanne. So, if there's no other questions, I'll grab a mover. Thank you for.
If I can, sorry, Madam Chair, as well, the connection to the portal report as well, to the back there. So again, draw your attention to any of the statistics there that councils might want to update on, or I can provide further information.
Sure, I do have a question in that particular one, to do with the miners' common. I'm not sure I've got this one the right. Yeah, the bull. Why can't we have a bull on the common, miners' common? There used to always have bull on the miners' common, and now it seems that we mustn't be allowed to have one. What is the purpose of the poor people having cattle on the common if they can't reproduce? What is the issue with the bull, having a bull on the common?
Thank you, Councillor Slater. I don't have those particular details, but I will.
Can you just
get
get back to me with that? Because I really don't see it as an issue. It never was in the past, unless there was some in-house fighting about who was breeding the food. I just want to know why you couldn't possibly allow a bull on the common anymore.
It's a good point. I know about it in the past. I'll follow up.
We've even got a bull walking on the stock droughts with all the drought cattle at the moment. So, I mean, I can't see what the issue is.
Madam Chair, dare I step into this one? Being the council representative on the Gemfields adjustment. At the last, this having a bull for breeding purposes has been on the agenda for quite some time, and if you get a report from Brett Keys about having a bull there, it's to do with the cattle being within the town precinct, and that's why, for a safety issue, it's not allowed.
I would dispute that.
That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. If I could get a copy of that report, please.
Thank you. Any further questions? I was just looking at the CRMs here, the statistics for communities and infrastructure and utilities, and I noticed that there's quite a oh, sorry, I had moved ahead very quickly. If I could please have a mover, thank you for the report, the communities update. Thank you, Councillor Blomkamp, and seconded, thank you. Councillor Slater, all in favour? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the Customer and Commercial Services Department update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rebecca, I can invite Beck Brosnan to speak to customer service, but we'll start with committee and staff housing. So councillors, some statistics there for you, and I'll commence with an apology in regards to those two graphics that don't have the localities on them. So those graphics are not very informative without that. I have sent you a separate email which shows you each of the bar graphs there, which localities they relate to. So if we're looking at staff housing vacancies, we're moving Blackwater, Capella, Doringa, Emerald, Springshaw and Terry, which is how we go across in that graphic. And then in regards to community housing vacancies, we're Anarchy, Capella, Doringa, Emerald, Sapphire and Springshaw, so my apologies in that regard. As we indicated to the Finance Committee this morning, we're certainly with the community and staff housing coming into the Customer and Commercial Services Department, having a bit of a financial analysis in regards to the money spent on those facilities to see if we can drive some further efficiencies for council in that regard. That work will also inform the body of work we need to do in regards to the review of the housing strategy, which is an operational plan deliverable for the department. So any questions from councillors in regards to community and staff housing?
Yes, I couldn't see that, like you put the percentages there. What is the total number of staff housing in each of our communities and community housing?
Don't have those numbers off the top of my head.
No,
Council Cypher, but more than happy to provide those.
Yes, I would have just liked to have seen that in there
Certainly.
as well. Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you.
Certainly will provide that too.
Through the chair also, of there's an understanding in some of our repairs and maintenance. What percentage of the vacancies are waiting on repairs for those to go into it? Yeah, like of the 24%, for example, are they vacant because they are requiring attention, or are they vacant because there's no one willing to?
I don't have those specific details. I think part of the explanation, councillors, in regards, for example, Capella, we have quite a number of housing there, but not the need that equates to the number of properties that we have there. So certainly there is budget provided, and it's just a matter of sitting down and going through that rather than we just get into normal process, sit down and have a little bit more of a critical look in that regard in respect to the priorities and where that capital money is best spent. From my perspective, I think there are some questions at time. If $40,000 is allocated for a bathroom upgrade and something else, are we overcapitalising within that property? So I think there needs to be some analysis rather than we just plough on and do what we've always done. So we're just drawing breath for a month or two, so we can just have a bit of a better look in that regard.
Thank you. Through Chair. So as a council, can we, if those houses were up to scratch, as a council, can we rent them out on the open market?
Well, that would be a matter for council to determine, I think, Councillor Cypher, when we bring the housing strategy review back to you.
Yeah, because I just see, particularly in Capella, huge opportunity in the near future for an influx of need for housing. There's been a lot of community housing, I believe, that's been occupied over the last 18 months with a lot of people coming into town requiring community housing. And I just see with the mines kicking in big time in the former Peak Downs region, there could be a massive need for increase in available housing.
We certainly have done that, my understanding, in other localities at times. So, at the end of the day, we need to understand what our community and staff needs are, where we may need to provide some additional housing. I think there's probably not enough housing, staff housing in Emerald as an example. Certainly if we have surplus stock, that's a decision for council to make in regards to whether you put that out to the commercial, the open market.
So that will be all revealed in that strategy.
I would think so.
Through you, Madam Chair, just from my previous knowledge of the housing portfolio and doing some quick numbers there, I'm pretty confident we have 115 staff houses and 80 community housing across the region, totaling
Across the region.
95.
Sorry, how many?
80 community.
80. Right, hold you to it, so
total.
that gives me an idea.
Nothing further. So we'll move on to customer and area support services. And Beck Brosnan, you might like to speak to your report.
Good morning, everyone. Through the Chair, Councillor Daniels. Thank you very much for having me this morning. I thought it would be a good opportunity. This will be the second departmental update that's been to the Standing Committee for, I suppose, the newly aligned customer and commercial services, and specifically customer service and area support. Being only the second sort of departmental update, I do welcome your feedback with regard to the content that's included in the report. As I think, it's very much about us reporting to you and what you would like to see in that space as well. So this is what I've come up with, just an assumption of what I think you might like to see on a monthly basis. But yes, do welcome your feedback. I probably just wanted to focus more this morning on the statistics so that moving forward, you might be able to interpret them as I've I suppose, extracted the data so that it makes a bit more sense. I haven't included a lot of detail around where the statistics have come from, and I'll go through that just very briefly now, just so that you can get an understanding of what they actually mean. So the statistics for customer requests in particular, you'll see that for each department, not every department is listed here, and that's because not every department currently is on CRM. Some internal business units like HR and IT and those sorts of things are not using CRM for obvious reasons. So I'm reporting on, I suppose, the departments that are currently using CRM as their method of being able to track requests from customers and that sort of thing. So range of services does take into account all your stock routes, your local laws, everything. It's all inclusive, and that is for all of them. You'll see receive. Now this is on a monthly basis, so these statistics are reflective of the month of July. So range of services have received 207 for the month. Within that month, they have closed 102, and a percentage of 47% are overdue, or are overdue from what's been received. So the total open at the bottom of the report is reflective of what's currently open for that department in the system, regardless of when it came in. So they're currently sitting at 287 outstanding, or not outstanding, sorry, just open. So again, I welcome your feedback as to whether you want me to drill down in certain areas.
Yeah, just in ranges in particular, because they cover so many issues, as in barking dogs. I just think that's one of their main issues in dealing with, and it's taking them away from other issues. So it'd be interesting to see what the breakdown is.
Yes.
And I would think, Rebecca, it'd be fair to say, would it not, that the fact that it indicates it's still open doesn't mean it hasn't been completed either. It just maybe the process hasn't been completed to close out the CRM, so it's just a house. Some potentially are just a housekeeping issue.
Yeah, because I was going to say, at a quick glance, the percentage overdue for across the board seems quite significant. So a bit more detail, like obviously there'd be some that take longer, but more detail would be great.
Of course. Thank you, everybody.
The timing of the report is essential. What sort of lead will you have in delivery of this? Are you delivering August? Like in September, for example? Or are you delivering July's in September?
Sure, thank you, Councillor McIndoe. I'm reporting on July statistics as part of this July report. So the first week in the month, I'm collating all the statistics. So I'm already collating, or have collated, August statistics right now, now that we're in September.
My concern, I'd like to see some sort of information on what is outstanding over the designated 10 days or whatever the time frame is. What's 30 days, a bit like financial, what's 90 days? Yeah, and that's, if the delay is 30 up to our second Tuesday,
yep,
can be up to 6 weeks. And if you've got to prepare that, it's really irrelevant.
So for me, this is just a snapshot of that month. Where I derive the statistics from is about a 150-page document at the moment that's out of the system. And so I've just picked out a very high level. Absolutely, we can share with you as an annexure to this report that document, but actually drills down and shows you for each of the individual units, I would say, for a department, what they've got, what they close, their percentage overdue. Just for the purpose of a snapshot each month, just sort of roll that up into a high level summary. So if the devil's in the details and you want to see that level of detail, absolutely we can provide. It does come from a very detailed report.
If I can just add, Councillor, too, and timing is very difficult in regards to the timing of the meetings. So it's very difficult for us to get that previous month. But that's not to say we can't cut off that month 5 days early, and we just understand and adopt that. We still can give you, 25 days of data for the month. The additional days are just picked up in the following month. I think we also need to be very conscious, and it's great to have the feedback, and we also need to be very conscious in regards to the level of work and commitment we put into an old system when we're very much in the throes of building a new system. So your comments and your feedback and that will come through to us is very important, quite vital in regards to how we're building a new system. What are the expectations of council in regards to reporting and those parameters that we will need to address in building that new system. So I would like to see us put a whole heap of resources and energies into an old system that we won't have within a matter of, probably 6 months. So.
No, my question is relating back to that, your technology one moving forwards. I was just wondering when you record a CRM, yes, you record a number, but can you also record a category which it relates back to? As in ranges, water.
The volume?
Yeah, so then it's easy for you to access later on. So you just look up a category within those CRMs and it's there. So.
Yes. So the level of reporting within one council is far superior than what we have now. The reporting is actually in our hands, and when I say our, I mean the organisation's hands. Down to an administrative level, anyone can pull a report because it's based on filters. So when a request is created and it's simply logged to all these different parameters, where it is, what suburb, all those things are linked. It's a matter of generating your own report, if you wish, at any given time on any of the data that's being used to capture the details. Right now, reporting sits within information services, and you have to build a report using scripting to actually pull the data out. So it's quite a time-consuming process. Once they're created, it's great. You can just press a button and it extracts the data, but with the amount of change going on, even in the old system, in modifying categories and making sure the workflows are right, we have to build those reports again. So, and I'll move on quite quickly, but just in terms of the report moving forward, I've got the statistics ready. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just had two questions there before. The second one was about HR and IT that you alluded to. And as we move forward into Toto, we're going to have a lot of CRMs, I would imagine, internally. And are they getting monitored, and why are we not getting that feedback? Because if we're looking to drive efficiencies and so forth, our own staff are going to become somewhat, I would imagine. So please correct me. I would like to, why have they been omitted?
They're omitted in the existing system from the point of view that the customer request is external. We view them as external customers coming in. Very much the One Council solution is looking at the fact that we have internal stakeholder relationships, and we transact with other areas internally. So I'm a customer of IT, I'm also a customer of HR, and how I request a service from them. One Council can and will measure those. So you will create a request to have a HR question result if it's a general question. It might be, it could be from anyone in the council, could be me asking about a long service leave or something like that, and I can raise a request to the HR department and they will work through it and answer that and we can report on it. But at the moment, the business units that don't generally provide a level of service to the external, to the public, aren't part of the existing CRM system. They most definitely will in the...
I think we'll need to be very mindful in regards to the internal use of CRM. So for example, and the business rules we establish. So if we're requesting service from our IT section, they already use a tool to capture that, monitor, report, but in my view, it should be within a corporate system. In regards to HR, for example, there will be electronic HR systems. So if we go and request non-service leave, what have you, we wouldn't create a CRM to do that. That will be captured within that module. So we just have to be efficient and mindful in regards to the deliverables of each of the modules of the new system. But things like, for example, we want service from from IT. Yes, corporate systems should be used for that. I would think also, Daniel, in regards to Julie, we want one of the facilities officers to go and repair something for us, then we should be using a CRM as a type of a module in regards to how we manage that request for service as well. So not quite there yet, but we do need to figure into our business planning and what have you, what is the best and most optimal utilisation of this new corporate technology, and how that as managers, that then provides data and information to us in regards to the best and most efficient use of resources, etc.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So the only other comment I knew coming in that there would be lots of questions, which is really good. It will be this report will highlight superstars as well. So for this month already, it's hard because we've only just started reporting, but already I'm in the third lot of statistics and I can start to see trends, and I hope to, I suppose, analyse those to a degree and be able to, identify them. But corporate services, for example, in the month that's coming, I won't sort of go too far into it, but are high performers when it comes to CRM. They receive as many, if not more, requests generally than many other departments, and their statistics are sitting at 1% overdue. Now that could be a little bit of housekeeping. It doesn't even say that the request went over its allocated time. Comparatively, how many can they have? 100? 100 came in for this month, the month of August, sorry. They closed out, 104 came in, they closed out 101, they had 1 overdue, and in the system right at this point in time there's only 4. So this report will also highlight stars in the organisation that are committed. My conversations with those staff in those areas gives me a level of confidence that if customers want to request a service from those stars, if they have a question from that business unit, then these stats identify that the best way is to actually go through the request system and you will get a response and it will be timely. The statistics prove that. And they always say, oh, are they closing them off but they're not actually completed? That will always be a question. I'm lucky that I sit right beside them and I can say with pen on heart that they are closing them and using the system properly. So it identifies that, yes, there are definitely areas for improvement, and this will highlight some fluctuations with resourcing and those sorts of things, but will also highlight superstars, and I think it's worth that being mentioned as well. So it's exciting for me because people might have looked at certain areas and gone, oh, there's a lot of banter about rates, for example, at the moment, but the request statistics say that if you pop in a request for a question or to have something raised with rates, you'll have it answered, and you'll have it answered on time.
And so, Rebecca, is there like a clear process on how staff are meant to be handling the CRMs, like as in, inform the person that's actually raised the CRM about progress or that's been completed, etc.?
There is a corporate process for how to deal with CRM. We do train new starters when they start with the organisation that says this is how you need to treat a CRM if you receive one. Mm-hmm. You need to notify your customer, you need to do the work, you need to get back to your customer at the end. Behaviourally, the organisation needs to improve in some areas. There's always a corporate system or a better system isn't a silver bullet in terms of fixing responses to customers, actually closing the loop. So even with one council on the horizon, behaviours need to, I suppose, change, to be completely honest. That actually says no matter what the system is, I know that my role is to actually make sure I close the loop. The system is there, and if it's followed, it works. It doesn't mean that everybody is following the procedure. So part of the other bits in the report is or my departmental update is actually informing you of improvements in the CRM space and also after hours and those sorts of things. So I will report to you the improvements that are going on in those areas as well, so that you're aware of maybe where there's been some deficiencies, what we're doing and what we're working towards. So there's some quality assurance going on in the background at the moment that we'll report on how we're identifying where maybe some of the closing of the loop isn't happening or where we can improve in this space.
That's good. That'd be great. I did have a question around the after-hours service. I don't know if you can speak now.
Sure. Yep. So, first time we've reported probably for quite some time about after hours, and it'll flow, or be very similar to the CRM statistics. It's just a snapshot of how we're going for the month. This is the first time, so I'm drilling into the data a lot more. We've created a quality assurance tool now that we're actually pulling random samples throughout the course of the month, listening to the voice recordings to be able to understand whether professionalism, consistency of responses from both council staff who are responding to call-outs and also the customer service officers within peak services who are actually providing the response to the public. So we're drilling into that, we're drilling into the cost benefit, and we'd like to report on, in the next departmental update, the balance of all the calls that are coming in. There's not a lot statistically here at the moment, but we've actually got to start pulling the data, so we're doing that this month. The cost benefits, so how many calls we received, how many were actually triaged out and said it's non-urgent, and how many were actually referred to each of the different areas. So how many call-outs of the 76 related to water, how many of them related to animals, how many of them, and give you that as a percentage as well. So again, the improvements and any issues. We want to report to you monthly what issues we've faced or we've addressed with peak services, and obviously what improvements we're looking at to try and make that service even better. So things do come up from time to time, the wheels fall off. Generally speaking, it's a deficiency in the scripting. It's organic, so there's no way of having a script that at any point in time covers off every response to every question that a customer could possibly raise after hours. But we have a structure in place that deals with looking at every after hours report that comes through and analysing where and if the wheels have fallen off, what's been the cause, and what have we implemented as an improvement to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So we maintain it. When I say my process is to keep in constant contact with the supervisors of those teams and just to identify through the script or the after hours call log that comes through if the CSO didn't follow the right scripting procedure. They address that for us, and then reporting on that too. So where if there's real issues, it's a good month. You know, we've reviewed all the call logs that have come through, we've had a look to see where they've triaged the calls to and what the responses were, and there's been, you know, no red flags from a performance point of view. It would be rare that there would be never an issue. So I will put that out there. You won't see nil, I would say, very often, but the important thing is what have we done to make sure that whatever that issue is doesn't happen again. So for every issue there will be an improvement that we're also providing info on.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Right. There's the final section on efficiencies. I don't know who, was it you, Daniel?
On the back of the customer service areas.
Great. I only want to just highlight there was one, the last dot point in efficiencies around the Springshore office, coming up with an initiative on war on waste. I think that's excellent. I'd love to see each of the officers you know, look at initiatives where we can actually be leaders on the, in our business on the war on waste, or how our officers run. Thank you very much. Is there any further questions regarding that report? No? May I please have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Duncombe and Councillor McIndoe, looks like he wants to second it. Thank you very much. All in favour? Thank you. And any general business? Thank you. No? Thank you very much. I will then call the meeting to a stop.
So, from a timing perspective, it would be remiss of the communities department ourselves, and also given the fact that we have our chair and leader of the community planning committee.
You're expecting not to be here next time.
We're just not sure. Just unsure about that.
Thank you. That's very lovely.
This is from the communities department, or staff wanted to piece together and put something for you.
Wonderful. So as you can see, it's a baby camp. So thank you. Please pass on my gratitude and thanks for myself and my family for that. So it's very lovely
everyone. Thank you. I'll now call the meeting to a close. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.